So shalom, everybody. Welcome to our session today. Thank you, Rabbi Bitton, for agreeing to do this together with us. And we are in very special times. This pandemic has caused us to be at home, really at home, and has made us reflect in our lives, inside our houses, in our interactions with family members. So we thought very proper to speak today about relationships at home between husband and wife, Shalom Bait. As everybody know, a very valued value for us, the Jewish community. We know that Am Israel, our communities, our society, is based on the nucleus of the family. Like there is not Am Israel without strong families, without Habayit HaYehudi, the Jewish home, that 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 is what creates what we are, Am Israel. And without us being strong, without us really taking it to the best place and taking our message to the next generation, there's not going to be Am Israel. Our class today is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be based on questions that we've been receiving from people in the community, women and men as well. We tried to find common denominator and we divided the questions into the different subjects that appeared in the questions that we received. So
can I
yes,
say something?
of course.
So we call this our perfectly fine imperfect marriage.
Perfectly normal.
A
yes.
perfectly normal imperfect marriage, because I think it's tremendously important for everyone to know that normally it's expected to have differences in marriage and tensions in marriage. This is what makes marriages actually normal. The abnormal marriage is a marriage that, you know, everything goes perfectly straight and there are never arguments or anything. And many times, many couples, consciously or not, they convey this image of perfection. And I think that everyone needs to acknowledge, you know, we are all of us, our couples, our marriages are a work in progress. So we need to know how to navigate that. That's why we call it, you know, the way we call it.
Okay, so let's start. We chose to take as the first question the one that appeared the most, and it's really known in the general world, not only the Jewish community, not only in America, everywhere with whoever we speak, articles that we read, how this pandemic, this isolation, confinement has taken a toll on, I would say, everyone, because everyone in a different level, in a different way, in our financials, in our financial situation. So the question is, money travel during this pandemic has caused everyone to be tense, and that causes a lot of fights. How to overcome this? Money, like how couples can communicate about it, and if one spouse is stingy about it, how the other can deal with it. So I'm going to divide it a little bit, and let's speak before pandemic. First, I want to emphasize that every challenge in marriage does not begin when you are 25 years married. It could be, but many of the challenges are there from the beginning. And it's really depending on the grounds that we are able to institute in the way we relate and refer to problems or to situations. So if I would speak now to a couple that is about to get married or they're a few years married, the conversation would be like, you should develop financial responsibility. It would be very good if you sit together, if you communicate, if you find out what is your real situation, what are your expenses, how much you want to save, how much are you able to save, how much do you want to spend in children's care. Sometimes a financial planner would be advisable, would be good, because young couples very often get married without having any idea about money. And we confront reality perhaps with that illusion of the gifts and the parties and especially in our days that children do not take upon themselves the financial responsibilities of the family since early age. When they confront marriage, they are not really prepared. So let's imagine a situation of a couple that has done that, or are more or less handling this issue properly, which means, I mean by properly, more or less having communication, which means that both in the couple can sit together and they can speak about it, and they more or less know what's happening. How much do we have? How much can we spend? How is our situation? Are we doing great? Are we doing better this year than last year? Is our business going down? Is it necessary for the wife to go to work? And not only because she wants to have this independence and this good feeling, but because it's needed at home. So all these conversations need to happen in a home, because what we find, and again, not only because the pandemic, the conflict that we find very often is the men complaining about their wives wanting to spend more of what they can afford, and women complaining of husbands being too stingy and not wanting to give us for our expenses, for the things that we need, for the things that we want. Now, I am speaking about a model of families that was the existent one, at least in our communities, where the main provider in the home was the husband. And then the wife was the one, depending on how generous is the husband or how much he wants to share with her. Very often, and I have found it happening too often, of girls coming and crying, how does he want me to live with this amount of money? My friends have this, and they spend that, and they see this, and I cannot buy the clothing that I want for my children. And they have no idea if the reason for this amount of money is based on a husband that doesn't want to give because he's not generous, because he's stingy, or the reason is because really he's going through a difficult situation. So again, now I go to the pandemic. With this situation, with this, so many people have been laid out of their jobs. Those that are independent, they know that their income has has come down enormously. This creates so many feelings of insecurity. Usually financial insecurity bring to two main feelings. Fear, especially I would say in the community of men. A man, even today when there is two spouses working, the man takes it much more seriously. It's more like his essence. When my job is not providing, I feel very insecure. I'm so afraid. I don't know what's going to happen. And in some situations, the woman knows that in the account they have so and so, such and such amount of money, and she doesn't understand why he's not giving it to her, because for him, in his mind, is what are we going to do next month? How do we know that our job is going to still be there? How am I going to pay the mortgage? How am I going to pay the bills? So sometimes the way we process this challenge is different. A man also feels shame, like if he feels that he's not being able to provide the way that is expected from him in the community, in this world, in this standard of life that we live here in Great Neck. He feels very shameful and very overwhelmed. And all of these dynamics create a lot of tensions, a lot of fights. Of course, I truly, strongly recommend and believe that communication is the most important element to solve this situation, because, and I'm coming from a base of a relationship that more or less this husband and wife are trying to solve conflicts in the rightful way. So communication where he's going to speak, he's going to share with her what is their situation. Like I think that any woman that loves her husband and he has common sense, if she knows the reality that things are difficult, that money is barely enough to cover the bills, she herself will become his partner on minimizing the costs, on spending less money. And he is not going to have on his head all the time this pressure, why you don't give me, why you don't give me, why you don't give me. At the same time, of course, it could be a situation that there is money and men are not, this man is not very generous, or he thinks she's supposed to live with this, because in my home, as when we were children, we didn't spend in so and so. My mom used to bake and make everything at home, and I want her to be. So, of course, there is a lot of love and empathy and putting myself in the place of the other, and everyone in the couple understanding the other. But finances, usually, the stressors of financial are difficult, but when they come in a relationship where the basics involve communication, understanding, empathy, love, support, I think it's going to be easier to go through it. And of course, it's a real challenge. There is nothing that we can do today. It's a real challenge. It's very easy to come and talk here, but I suppose that for some families, not having what to put on the table for their children, it doesn't necessarily mean in our community. I don't know where, but I know that the challenge has been real and difficult, and it requires more than ever for us to be supportive of each other.
Yeah, I want to add that in a couple, we need in this and in every subject, we need transparency. So let me refer to the ketubah. Okay, in the ketubah, it says that the husband has to provide for his wife, for his maintenance, for her food, for whatever she needs. Also for her, there is a kesutah, the second item is social needs. The Chachamim were very aware of there are some social needs. It's not just physical needs. Yeah, and that's why the ketubah has one item specifically for clothing of the woman. And it says that the husband has to provide to her wife clothing that is more or less according to where they live. So if you live in a kibbutz, or I don't know the kibbutzim right now, but I'm talking about maybe many years ago, where one outfit could cover for every single, for a week, etc., is one thing. If you live in Greenwich, it's a second thing. So there is, of course, this awareness that there are not just physical basic needs, but also social needs. The key is that there must be a balance between needs and no, it's not needs and wants, needs and possibilities. From one side is what I need as a woman, let's say, right? Even my social needs, but from the other side, how much money I'm making. So the ketubah will be opposed to a husband that has the money and is not providing her wife with enough money when he has the money. Okay, so that's why transparency here is the key. Now, when there is no money or in difficult times, then, well, we have to make the effort, as my wife says, together. So this conversation needs to happen, and the wife needs to know how much money I'm making, and and how much we can afford, and we have to plan together the budget. So here, the togetherness, being together as a team, is key, but it requires, as you said, trust. Especially that's very important, and transparency. Okay, this could be the same thing, one and the other. I have seen both things. I have seen wives that they claim, I don't have enough money, but forget about the pandemic right now. I have seen this. I don't have enough money, but I don't have enough money to keep up with the Jonases. Okay, I mean, they have a lot of pressure from their group, from their circle of friends, and they want to to spend in standards of people who are much, much richer than their husbands. Okay, so that's obviously that's not a good idea. So I don't know, either you have to change Dore, I don't know if this is permitted, or just, you cannot adapt your budget and go into debt to keep up with the Joneses. You cannot do that.
In that aspect, if I can add, I think it becomes a little bit the responsibility of the whole community, how sensitive we need to be to others and in the way we spend. And I think this a little bit.
We're talking about families right now. The community is a different subject. I agree with you 100% that the community has to give the example and is giving the examples. I remember that, you know, maybe 5-10 years ago, when there was a Iran, etc., they would spend a lot of money. Right now, things are coming down because people, you know, especially people that they have the means, they have been very respectful for people who don't have the means, and they brought their expenses down in respect for those who don't have. This is amazing. So as a community, we have a lot to do. But I'm talking about families, and you know, we have to be transparent. From one side, as I said before, you cannot, you know, the wife cannot expect to have, or to go in, her husband to go into debt, or her, because they share the same thing, to keep up with the Joneses. From the other side, if the husband he has to provide his wife as much as he can, okay? The only, I see, for example, one gray area is, for example, savings. So it's right that many men would say, wait, I want to put this into savings, okay? Now, I know I'm a man, I'm defending the men at this moment, but let me give you an example. Think about this pandemic, okay? So many people are afloat, are in the surface right now,
thanks to
are not sinking because of their savings. So you're right, the husband feels that he is the provider. So I'm not saying the husband is always right, but there need to be some type of transparency, and sharing. I believe that this is something negotiable between husband and wife. This cannot be a non-solvable matter. I think so.
Yes, it's solvable, but I think that there is a cultural thing here, and sometimes a cultural gap between what used to be and what it became today. But really, it used to be that women had no clue, and they were comfortable in that way, because I take care of my home, my
Right.
family, and I'm so happy that my husband takes care of working outside and bringing us what we need. And women did not feel the need to know, and they did not know.
For many women, still works.
I understand, but we're speaking now about how to solve this challenge of not finding common grounds, she wanting more, or I cannot say it's the same for him or she. In this case, it's usually women are men, right? All of us agree that men are those that mainly work and women are those that are usually requesting.
No, it's not only that. It's that men are more into numbers, and men feel more responsible for the future. That doesn't make them better than women. It's just. I
didn't say better. I said that she's the one that is usually complaining that she's not getting what she needs.
Okay.
Yes. So because of this, even in couples that it worked until now, that he was the one in charge of finances, and he was the one, and she didn't know what's going on. She had no idea. He gave her every week, here, you have this, and she was happy. She didn't need anything. In many cases, in others not. But now the challenge that I was used to get so and so, and now I'm not getting even half of that. How do you want me to manage? So she needs to know what's happening.
The question is why? Why is she getting less? Because
exactly.
Okay.
So that she needs to know. She needs to track. That's what we are. We all agree on this. We are agreeing on this. Yes.
Definitely.
Yes. We discussed enough before the class until we decided. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. So. Can we move to the next subject?
Yes.
I don't know if we should offer to ask questions on this specific.
Maybe
is there any question you can write in the chat?
In the chat. I will check the chat.
No questions. Oh, they have to understand that they are one entity.
Okay. Yes, we are one entity. Yes, sir.
Anybody wants to make a comment on this before we move to the next question?
We have to understand that we are a team. Okay, and it demands teamwork, and it demands a lot of effort. But at the end of the day,
one of the things that I got in one of the questions on this regard is that it happens that two different people have also a different relationship with money, and we value different things. So perhaps for me, it's more important to spend in food. That's an example. And for my husband, it's more important to spend on, lighting in the house. I'm just throwing an idea.
It's the opposite. But
so it's important also to understand and to sit and have a conversation about that.
Yeah.
But how are you going now and buying this light for the house when I couldn't buy what I need for the week? So it's important. If there is no conversation, this is not going to be solved. And the challenge will stage a challenge because it's not easy, but at least it should make things lighter between husband and wife.
Can I add something? I think that another gray area is when money is used as power. Okay, so that's also something questionable, and that is usually from the side of the husbands. So
can you be more explicit on this?
Yeah. So in order to control you, to exert total control over you, I will give you exactly, what I think that you need, even though I have the possibility to be a little more large with you. Okay, so that's also a conflict. But
so you're saying that it's wrong.
Yes,
I hope
I'm saying it's wrong, of course. So, but I'm talking about most cases that I know. I think that transparency and talking with numbers and building a budget, a realistic budget. This is what we need. This is what we made. Okay, so that's sounds like a very easy solution, but it is the easiest solution.
Okay. Let's continue.
Going to bed now.
Okay, this is a question that only reading it sounds so simple, but actually I don't know how to tell her. Okay. How to tell, I'm going to the next subject, we're changing subjects. How to tell your wife to take better care of herself without offending her. Example, she has gained a lot of weight, doesn't dress nice anymore, or doesn't put on makeup. She's always on her pajamas when I get home. So how to tell her? Okay, so again, nothing begins with the subject that we are bringing. Everything begins with the relationship between husband and wife. How is usually your communication? How loved does she feel by you? How much do you praise her? How much are you saying it in a loving way? Or how much are you saying it just to bring her down, to make her feel bad? It's a very sensitive subject. I know that every person, I don't think only men and women will feel very sensitive to be told that they look bad or that they gain weight. What I can say, I am not answering so much how to tell your wife, perhaps you will be able to do that.
I don't have anything to say.
What I want to say is really how important it is to take care of ourselves, always have in mind how we acted when we were dating on the first years of our marriage, how much we cared about what our spouse thought about us, how much it was every time we got dressed or we bought an outfit, it was thinking, will he love it? Will he be happy to see me with this outfit? Does he like me to have a lot of makeup? Does he like me to have less makeup? Unfortunately, what happens in most cases is that all of us, and it's normal that at home we feel comfortable. At home we don't want to be feeling that we need to take care of our appearances. It's the place where I just want to be myself without makeup, without nothing. And we get dressed usually for the people outside. We put makeup for when we go to work. And sometimes at home, a woman can be, I always remember one of the classes, this lady was saying she has this green mask and these rollers in her head and this white pajama, comfortable. She doesn't care even that the pajama shows her 20. Perhaps this lady that the husband is speaking about her, she didn't gain so much weight. It's the pajamas that make her look so bad. So she needs to pay attention what she's wearing at home for her husband to look at her with good eyes. But I have to tell you one thing in the name of women. Husbands, remember, a woman that does not feel loved, she will go for chocolate. She will go for chocolate. She will gain weight. So make her feel, and love for a woman is feel understood, feel appreciated. Give her a feeling that you look at her with the same eyes that you look at her when you were dating or you just got married. And I think that automatically it will happen. I don't have so much more to say about that.
Okay. The question was, how do you tell your wife?
Yes, that's very difficult.
So, I have a couple of advice, of tips. Like, for example, if you want your wife to use more makeup, buy her makeup for like give her a gift. Okay, for example, right? Or you don't like her pajama, buy her a nicer pajama or something like that. These are polite ways of saying it. But I want to say that that it is very important to keep attraction between husband and wife all the time, as much as we can. Okay, even as we age, we cannot just let go and put our guard down in that aspect. And I'm not talking only about wives. I'm also talking about husbands. We have to try to look our best, to try to be clean and to do whatever we can to be as attractive, okay, also as possible, okay, but like looking our best. We both have to do that, and our Torah is it does a lot of emphasis on that. You know, there are many things that we do shelot tidgane alav, that the wife wouldn't be like not attractive enough in her eyes, etc. So I give you an example, okay? Remember this. According to the minhag Yehudi, to the halacha, a woman that is married, she covers her hair. Now, why she covers her hair? Okay, the hair is considered like beauty, her beauty, or wow, something attractive. Why she covers her hair? She uncovers her for her husband. So the most beautiful thing of her is reserved for her husband. You understand? So always remember this, husbands and wife, that your best look should be for your wife. Your best look should be for your husband, not to be attractive to the people in the street, but to be attractive to your husband at home, or to your wife at home.
I like this, that you are saying that also men need to take care on how they look. And we find this very often in the dating arena, how all the boys, even those that are not looking there like these actors, and they all of them wants the prettiest girl and the best looking girl. Like, it doesn't matter how they look. It does matter as well. Like I think it goes both ways. Yes, they're a little bit different, that men, for them, appearances are more important, but men also need to take care to look their best for their wives. I think it's a good advice.
Yeah.
We are agreeing on that.
We are agreeing.
Very nice.
That, yes.
We even got here a good idea. Somebody said, how about buying, besides of the makeup and the pajamas, buying her a treadmill? I think that person is saying about the treadmill because he wants to use it as well. So then it's a perfect idea. It's health, it's important.
For both.
It's very good for both. We all agree? We're not getting more comments, so we're gonna go to the next question.
Feel free to make your questions or observations in the chat.
Okay, this question is a little bit, the way it's brought, it's a little bit extreme, I think, the way and I have my
And we try to keep the wording as it was.
Yes, the wording is as it was. I have my reservations, but I'm going to read it as it was, and I'm going to say what I think. It says here, okay, modern world. Okay. Cheating in today's modern world has become normal. We don't even get shocked about it when we hear it anymore. And sometimes we even empathize with the one doing the wrong act. And what is the question?
Okay, so what do we think about this?
You want to start?
Okay, I think that we are bombarded with the Netflix culture, okay, which gets into our minds in ways that we are not aware of them, and suddenly whatever is wrong becomes normal. Or I remember, there are some movies that force you to emotionally empathize with the loyal spouse in the couple. So these are things that are changing the way people think.
The system of values.
Yeah, of course. This is the upside down system of values. So obviously we have to re-examine every time the values that we have. Okay, and I'm not going to advocate for loyalty and faithfulness. That goes without saying. But I just want to say it's also obvious. But cheating is a red line. It's crossing a red line. There are some things that we might do to each other consciously or unconsciously that are forgivable, and you can work on it. But cheating usually is something that is very difficult to repair. I would say is suicidal, and it's just you have to avoid to do it the first time. That's the most important thing. Never do it. And I believe that the way of doing it, and I'm not going right now to the causes of it, but the most important thing to bear in mind is just before you do it, think about your children. Think about your children. There is a pasuk, Ubnei Korach lo metu, that I love this pasuk because this pasuk reminds you that the sons of Korach, when Korach was rebelling against Moshe Rabbeinu, which it caused his death, the sons of Korach, they went there, but they stepped aside just 1 minute before. That's all. That's not all you need. But I'm saying, if Chas v'Shalom, you're in these circumstances, at that moment you have to think, I have children, and I'm going to ruin my life, my wife's life, and my children's life. So I think this is obviously obvious. I want to add one more thing, that it's not only the Netflix culture. Sometimes it could be the Netflix culture brought by your own friends, like misery loves company. And if someone is in that game, Chas v'Shalom, then he will tell you, yeah, why not? Blah, 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 blah. And you will say, well, if he does it, why not me? So you need to be very aware who your friends are, because, they also bring you these values, okay? And obviously, faithfulness is the key for a good marriage. And I would say that almost everything else is fixable. This is something that we need to avoid, and do not allow ourselves for us to become like something acceptable, tolerable, even with respect to others.
You have something that you always say about the boundaries and social communication.
Yes, our Torah, our Chachamim explain us how to keep away from it by establishing some boundaries. So very, very briefly, it says when you talk to another to a woman that is not your wife, to a colleague, a coworker, You can always be cordial. No problem. Be cordial. All right? You can share your thoughts. No problem. But you cannot be personal. You cannot share emotions. You cannot share, like with another woman, what happens between you and your wife. You cannot share these things, because these things, sharing emotions with another woman, leads to a place where you don't want to be. So I think that if we keep these things in mind, ichud, do not be alone by yourself without a camera with another woman that is not your wife, prevent this from happening, put these fences, and be cordial. You can talk to another woman, but not in sharing emotions with her. Then you will be safe. Okay, that's more or less, that's the basic.
But that's more or less the reasoning that people would bring whenever they get into those behaviors. And they say that usually that comes from a place of loneliness, when you feel very lonely in your marriage, when you don't feel that you have with whom to talk, that you don't feel understood, that you, so what should we tell to these people? My answer would be yes, a friend would be amazing. Like sometimes, especially for women, that we need so much the conversation, the catharsis, the verbal communication. Ideally, that should happen at home, but I don't believe that husbands can always, as best as they will be, can always fill that void. And a good friend, where a woman, like the same-sex friend, I mean, should be the best way to fill this void. And this is one of the things that we have been influenced by the values of Western society. Friendship between men and women, like, it's so normal. It's so normal to go and have a coffee and have a beer after work, and it doesn't look and doesn't seem bad anymore. And if you say something, well, what type of thoughts do you have? What's wrong? We are just co-workers. It's nothing wrong. But we need to be extremely cautious in these areas and avoid things, God forbid, before they can happen.
Yeah, this is suicidal, and I urge all of us that, in this aspect particularly, we need to be all-timers, okay? In the sense of, this is sacrality of marriage. This is, I'm not denying that men or women can feel lonely, can feel misunderstood by the spouses, and that could bring, then you talk to another man there, and he, oh wow, what a gentleman. This is not like my husband, okay? But I'm not denying the feelings. I'm denying the solution. But I think the solution is, okay, you don't have what you need, go to a therapist, go to a rabbi, go to a rabbinit, okay, and seek some advice. Look for other solutions. You will find, as I said at the beginning, no marriage is perfect, but that destroys the family. That is suicidal. I don't have a better word for it.
But that brings us, perhaps we can connect it with the previous question, where we were speaking about how do you look for your husband, for your wife? How do you show yourself? And then, if you don't take care of your appearance, if you look with pajamas the whole day, and then the husband goes to work, and women there look their best, and they take care of themselves, and when you go to work, you put your best face, you are dressed, in your best outfit, and you speak very quiet and very educated and very polite. So it creates like this dichotomy, because the difference between the woman that I find at home and the women that I see outside. So this is part of the reasons why we have to be so careful to invest in this relationship and to take care of it inside our home.
But even then, it's not justified.
Nobody's justifying.
I know, but even then, I want this to be very clear. Even then, even when things are not perfect between husband and wife, it's like, okay, I don't like this person. I know that there are some red lines. Even if I don't like this person and I am right, I will never kill him. You understand? So I put this in a similar a platform, a similar level. So for me, it's like, this is a suicidal. This is killing the marriage.
Okay, I'm going to go to the next question. I feel these are all so important questions.
What about
a wife who values her parents' words more than her husband's, or vice versa? What can I answer here?
Well, that's not referring to this, right?
I know that's a different question. How about, we leave it for the end?
No, you can do it.
So I repeat the question. How about a wife who values her parents' words more than her husband's, or vice versa? I think also in this aspect, it's all begin with husband and wife being one unit, creating this partnership.
Which is not easy.
Which is not easy. But imagine a situation where the parents of the wife or the husband, doesn't matter, are extremely, extremely rigid. They are not flexible. They are not easy. They make demands that are difficult for the couple. And this wife or the husband were raised in these parents, and they were so used to listen to them, and they're even scared not to do it. So what should they do? We have in the Torah, of course, in Bereshit, after the creation of Adam and Chava, that Hashem is presenting Adam with Chava and telling him, Al ken ya'azov ish et aviv ve'et imo ve'davak be'ishto ve'yu lebasar echad. Therefore, a man should, what will be the translation here? Disengage from his parents, mother and father. Ve'davak be'ishto, he shall cleave into his wife and become one flesh, which means, and which usually we translate this into emotional disengagement. Like, God forbid, it doesn't mean we don't need to keep respecting our parents or taking care of fulfilling their wishes or trying to take care of them and doing whatever makes them feel good. But if I have to make a decision, and it's difficult for me to say my parents, I'm sorry.
I know. But at the same time, I think that we can share, for example, that both of us took care of your parents, both of us took care of my father and are taking care of my mother. It's not, it's also a teamwork.
Yeah, that's why I started saying is a partnership. So whenever there is a situation of a parent that is difficult, so instead of creating a fight between husband and wife, why do you do what she's telling you? I'm telling you this. If this couple are able to develop an habit that, okay, we have a problem, how do we deal with this? It's always from this point of partnership. We have to decide together, what do we do? Your mom wants us every Shabbat by her. This is not right. I also have a family. But taking this together, we are a company. We have to solve our situations, our problems together. And if there is, of course, a conflict of interest, the Torah is very clear. Like, your wife wants you, I don't know, to eat your wife wants to eat at home and your parents want you to eat somewhere else. It's difficult even to say, but the couple have to solve their things together as a unit. And it could be that together they will say, let's respect them. They're old, they don't understand. It's okay, we can be together the other nights. But it's not one against the other. There is nothing worse than when we fight and we even involve family members, and then I blame your parents and you blame my aunt, and we are throwing to each other. It's so important and it's so difficult, but it's so worth it. So worth it to work and to make complete from the beginning. Okay, let's decide together. And of course, communication, conversation, and reaching a decision that it could be that you both don't agree always, but okay, this time I am compromising, next time please do the things my way. So, but there has to be some type of conversation, of agreement among the
knowing that is a delicate balance, almost an impossible balance, to satisfy your parents and your wife at the same time. So, but this is part of the struggle of marriage and keeping the family together. But it is possible to do it. It's not easy. Nothing in life it is, but it is possible.
What to do when your spouse shows no affection? He, she does not make you feel special. I think that's a common question as years pass by. Like it's like a plant that if you don't water it day after day, you don't take care of it, at some point that plant is going to, ¿cómo se dice marchitar?
Dry.
To dry. It's normal. It can happen. Routine takes us to that place. Stress takes us to that place. Bills, children, being busy. We forget that we need to nurture this relation. We forget that we put so much effort on making everybody outside happy, and we forget about the most important person in our lives. It could be that this husband or this wife love each other, but they just don't show the affection. Like it's, of course they love her. Like that, doesn't she know that I love her, or doesn't he know that I love her? Why doesn't he make you feel special? It has to be planned. It does not come spontaneously. We need to work on this. Like you need to work on remembering birthday dates, on remembering anniversaries, on remembering to send her a text, on remembering to make his special dish. Some women forget that they are cooking also for the husband. They think they're cooking only for the children. He's the most important person, right? He's the most.
I like it.
Yeah, like do whatever he likes, or he forgets how important it is to take care of her. She was the whole day at home taking care of the children. In certain cases, she's working as well. Why does she have to be working outside and coming home and taking all the burden of the home? Like, I think that the secret for this is really to make a plan. Like, you need to sit down. What did I do today for my spouse? What did I do today for my spouse? How did I make her feel special? Another thing that we find, and if you want to say it, about the languages of love, you want to say?
I want to give a different angle here, that we are giving advice to, to couples, to men, women, wives, husbands for many years. But I think 5-6 years ago, we discovered a book that was already there for a long time, that is the 5 languages of love. And I know I talk about it many times, but I wish I had known this book before, because I could have helped so many couples so much better. I didn't know this, but and also ourselves, how to understand each other. So this means that, what do you do when your spouse shows no affection? Now, imagine my language of love is an oral, praising, verbal, communicating affection with words. Okay, imagine this is my language of love. But my wife's language of love is the quality time. Okay, spending time together. That's a very common thing. Okay, now if I don't know that there are languages of love, I will think that the only way to show affection is by saying, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. And I will say, well, my wife is not showing me any affection because she's not telling me, I love you, I love you, I love you all the time. So here, but it might be that there is no affection, but it might be also, she doesn't make me feel special by telling me I love you as I need. Now, for her, walking in the park, or walking 10 minutes together, this is love. This is quality of time is love. Now, if she asks me, let's go and walk together, and I don't like to walk together, for me, this is not affection. This is not love. She will feel that I'm not affectionate to her. I don't make her feel special because I don't go and walk with her in the park. This happens to be a accurate example, more or less, right? Because my wife loves to walk. I don't. So it's tremendously important for Shalom Bayit, to know that usually we speak 2 different languages, and I cannot judge her by my language of love. I have to make an effort to recognize what is your language of love, and try to work on myself to come together with that. okay, to come to terms with that, okay? And also from her side, you know, to know what is my language of love and do our biggest effort to encounter, to meet one, the other, you know, each other, to meet in some common ground. But
it takes two things. One is trying to give the other his language, and also understanding the language, giving him on his language and understanding what he's trying to tell me in his language as well.
Exactly, but it all begins by recognizing that love does not have one single language. That's tremendously important. I know so many people that fail because of that, that feel frustrated.
You know, they found also with children.
Yes.
Children at home, like they ask children, does your mom loves you? And everyone will answer in a different way. Yes, she loves me. Why? Because she takes me to a park, or because she buys me gifts, or because she stays with me in the bed, or she tells me that I love you. So we can see from very early age that this is special.
I believe that without recognizing that there are different languages of love, it's almost inevitable that couples will not get along. That one of them or both of them will feel that they lack love, because usually husband and wife, they have different languages of love. You can have one or two or three languages of love. Maybe you meet in one of them, maybe you share one of them, maybe you don't share, maybe she has two and the other one has two, or three and two, whatever it is. But we need to start by recognizing that this is like a fact. I in the last 5 years, I have seen this so clearly, and for me it was like a revelation, and an incredible way to help others and to understand each other.
Another thing that, of course, we can really not cover everything, but we cannot disregard that sometimes when a spouse is not showing affection, it's a consequence of your own behavior. Like you feel, you see that your husband, your wife is not treating you with affection, it's not showing you any love. How about checking a little bit? How are you acting? Check yourself. How is your behavior? How much of your day, of your commentaries are criticism? How much of your communication is just being negative? So you see that your spouse is a little bit distant, is not showing anything, is not interested in sharing, in spending time with you, is coming home later than usual, the husband or the wife, whatever. Check yourself. Am I being a source of attraction? Am I making my spouse wanting to be with me, or just to get distant?
Right. You cannot be passive and just waiting for it. You taught me something amazing, that love is a verb.
Love is a verb.
Love is a verb, right? So sometimes, you know, you have to inspire the other one to love you, and by you loving him or loving her.
And also something practical. We really have control only on our own behavior. Like, even if it's true that is the other person the one that is being distant and being non-expressive and not loving, sometimes making changes in the way I act can cause a change. Not always there, and we didn't say it at the beginning. We're speaking today mostly about majority of couples, not about situations where there are extreme case of, I don't know, abuse or personality disorder, mental health. We're not speaking about that. We're speaking about two normal human beings that somehow loved each other, were attracted to each other,
95%
got married, and then they encounter challenge throughout their lives. And very often, if untreated, this challenge can really create a very big distance that is going to make us feel, what are we doing with each other? Now, there are two questions here. I would like to put them together, if you think so.
Okay.
One is, how do you speak with the husbands or wives, with spouses, or teach them about having more respect and manners in the way you interact with each other.
Oh, I have a question now, you forget.
Or also put that here. How do you forget really hurtful insults and curses? And this together or not? Mm-hmm. No, okay. So here is about, okay, respect and manners. When I read this question, I remembered, do you remember that book that spoke about the 3 levels of marriage? The river, the kettle, and the bird. Do you want? Because I don't remember. Do you want?
It's okay.
I don't remember. Do you want to say?
Well, the river is the relationship of interest. This is the lowest thing when we share when our marriage is based on I get from you, and then only when I get from you, I give you back.
Like monarchy in Europe used to do.
Something like that. Yes, I give you back when I get from you. That's a marriage that is destined to fail. If I only wait to get from you in order to give you, this is going to fail. The kettle is when like the kettle has the power to put together in harmony water and fire, and you can make a soup and a tea. 2 different people by the kettle, by the shalom bayit, by knowing about marriage, they can live in harmony and make a tea, make a soup, make a family. And the bird is 1 level up. It's not when we can be together, is when we say, I not only that I can be with you, I can tolerate you, shalom bayit, is that I cannot make it without you. Is when we are
both
yes, wings. We are 2 opposite wings of the same bird.
And it's going to the same direction, the same goals.
That's the ideal.
Okay, so why did I bring this example? Because this question that speaks about respect, manners, curses, insults, bring me to aspire at least to the 2nd level, a level minimum of respect. Like polite people, in your job place, when you go to work, when you interact with your co-workers, the minimum factors that you need in any relationship is a relationship of respect. Like speak using proper language, no screaming, no raising your voice, respecting the other as a human being. That's the minimum that can be expected in any relationship. And I know it's easy to say, and I know that whenever there is emotions and personal feelings involved, it becomes much more difficult. But this is what we need to aspire, at least for, and especially whenever there are children in the home. We know how much damage is caused when children are raised in this environment, whenever that there are screaming and curses and bad words told. I think that, of course, like the main ingredient in marriage involves self-work, like working on myself, on my midot. When Rabbi Akiva was asked to bring what summarizes all the Torah, and he said, "Ve'ahavta lereacha kamocha," love your fellow as you love yourself. We know that mitzvah is mainly fulfilled inside our home with our spouses, because this is the relationship that involves the most interactions, where we are exposed the most to challenges, to triggers, to anger, to things that bother me, to things that I disagree with them. But where is our self-control? So how do you speak with your husband or teach them about having more respect and manners? I think by being respectful myself. Like husband and wife, imagine we're going through a crisis. We are going through a time of challenges. And by the way, nobody should be scared of this. It's normal. It's normal to have disagreement. And sometimes it happens for a period of time. We're going through a challenging time. So we're discussing more. We're having more differences between us. But we can sit together and listen, we are fighting too much. Let's make a deal, or let's create some rules. I would say 2 rules. 1 rule, we don't fight in front of the children. First rule, we don't fight in front of the children. It doesn't mean we make pieces. It doesn't mean we fixed everything. We still have a lot of work. But we can, as adults, we can decide not in front of the children. Second rule could be not curses, not bad words. It doesn't mean we already love each other. We are still in the level of respect. But I think that's what I would tell to this person that is asking this question.
Number three, can I say number three?
Yes,
number three. Do not escalate, and try as much as you can that overnight is gone. I mean, the tensions are gone. Just let go. Letting go is probably one of the most important rules in marriage. Let go. I'm not talking about abuse, but normal things that we all face.
That's easy for men, difficult for women. It's difficult to let go. Like sometimes we need to feel understood. We need to speak about the things. I think so.
I know, but we need to train ourselves in the art of forgiving. Okay, and I'm talking about unilateral forgiving. That at night, as we are taught in Kiryat Shema Lamitah, we just say, "I forgive." Okay, that's it. It's over. Because most of the problems that couples have is when these tensions and frustration, they accumulate over days, and sometimes people do crazy things. I hear couples that they are not together for 2 months, 3 months, sometimes for a year. Okay, so that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. So it takes two to tango, and it takes two to fight. It takes one. Usually it takes one to make peace, to learn to say, I'm sorry, especially when you are right. Because there is a bigger benefit here, which is the family. So we have to think as a team. We have to think also of our children. We cannot be selfish. And wow. I know forgiving is very difficult, but...
we have a question here. Can you give a personal example of a situation you did not see eye to eye and how you overcame it?
Wow. I don't have...
Nah.
Well, all the time. This happens all the time.
All the time. Most of the times we don't see eye to eye. Like we are two different people with different ways of understanding life, of understanding things.
Different reasoning. And different languages of love.
And sometimes, to tell you the truth, sometimes communicating and speaking about things has helped us. And sometimes just one of us, most times my husband, he would just say, forget about it. And I think that having this, I remember, I want to share something that I learned from my Rabbanit Riva Latidot. When we had these classes about relationships, she told us, have in the wall of your kitchen an imaginary scale. You have an imaginary scale with 2 plates, and you want the plate of Shalom Bayit always to weight more. So in the other one, you put all your problems, your discussion, your disagreements, and make Shalom Bayit be the most important. I don't know, I can't remember. They want a real example.
I can give a real example.
Okay, give a real example.
My real example is that, look, if I play ping pong with my wife, I'm going to win. I know it. I know that I'm going to win. I'm good at it, and there is no way my wife will win at a ping pong game with me. There's no way, okay? So I don't think she will ever try. All right. Now, when it gets to debate, to an argument, a verbal argument, there is no way I will ever win. Okay, I know that she outsmarted me. She's amazing in debating, and I learned with time, that me, or for many men, there is a choice that we have to make, and please listen carefully, between being right and being happy. Okay, there are some men that they are obsessed with being right, and being right, and my wife has to accept defeat, and she has to say that I'm right and that she's sorry or whatever it is. And even if you think that you are right, then you need to know that this is the choice that you have to make, okay? At least from my point of view, is that there's a choice between being right and being happy, and you usually cannot have both of them. So that's my perspective, okay?
I hope to find an example during the continuity of this. And if I win in debate, it's because I'm right, not because I'm a good debater.
You are right.
Okay.
You are an excellent debater.
Okay. How do you help a spouse change bad habits and make a change in his life? And this is from a woman, and she writes, men are not going to like this. It seems that men need more help and direction and are less likely to ask for help, especially when it affects me and the children. I think that's what she meant. This is a very blurry area. And I would go both ways, not from to the spouse, not specifically a man or a woman. I think that it's a little bit delicate to want to change the other, to feel that you are, and we women do it a lot. We have this yetzer hara to, like we are as mothers always in this position of education, of trying to take care of our children's behavior, and we think that we have to apply that also to our husbands. And vice versa. Sometimes it's the opposite. I don't think that marriage is for us to change the other. Again, I am a strong believer on self-improvement. I need to work on myself. I need to work on my midot. I need to work on my anger. I need to work on my feelings. And if I feel all the time lonely because that's my personality, so okay, so spend more time with friends. And if I'm all the time, most of the things that I feel have to do with me and not with how others act. In general, in life, she made me feel guilty. She made me feel sad. Nobody makes me nothing. It's all about me, how I process things in life. So I need to check what's going on. Why do I feel this way? Now, regarding changing habits of the other, I would differentiate between habits that have to do with the other person's behavior, life, habits in general, and with those that affect me, okay? So if it affects me, then of course it is a call for us to sit and to have a dialogue and to speak about that. So what can affect me? Imagine that my spouse likes to be in the couch the whole day eating, I don't know, garinim, I say garinim, pisukim, and throwing the klipot in the floor. That will for sure affect me. So I cannot say whatever, let him do whatever he wants. No, it's affecting me. Like, we are living together. I expect, again, this is part of respect. I expect him to be respectful of my area, of my cleanliness. But if the habit is about, I want him to do sports, I want her, as it says here, to lose weight. Yes, we need that, taking care of ourselves for ourselves and for the other, but I cannot impose that on the other. I want him to go to college and study more. I want her to ask for a raise. Like, it's a little bit difficult to control other people's lives. So I think that you can inspire. By the way, this is a very good answer that a psychologist once gave us. We have to ask advice. We were living in Israel, we had to ask advice. And this psychologist told us there is an age with our children after certain age, 18, 19, that the most that you can do is inspire them. And by inspiring them, you can create a change. You cannot impose, you cannot, so especially with the spouse, like nagging, criticizing, telling is not only that it's not right, it's not going to bring you the results that you want. The results can happen if you inspire, if you, every time that she does sport, you say, wow, it's amazing, you look so happy, you look so much energized today, I love, like, praising it, supporting it. That could create a change, but not criticizing or nagging.
No, can I add something?
Of course.
I think that what you said like rewarding
The positive
good
behavior.
positive behavior is amazing. It works wonders with husbands. Okay,
With everybody.
I know, but I mean, but as you said, nagging, even if you think you're right, doesn't work. Rewarding positive behavior, it does work, and it does wonders. Another thing I want to say is that there are two different models of people who really fail in marriage and people who succeed. And I believe that one of the issues that makes a marriage succeed is when I know that I have to adapt myself to my spouse. And those who fail are those who expect to adapt their spouse to them. Okay, so that's a very important difference, something to bear in mind, because change can only effectively be something that you do to yourself, and it's very difficult. It's very difficult to change yourself. I would say change your spouse is impossible. Just consider that. The only change you can do with a lot of effort is to change yourself. So that's within your power to do, to change your wife, to change your husband, and to make from your husband a project. That's you getting yourself into a incredible, endless, problems for a long time, and frustrations, etc. So, as I said, the only thing you can do with regards to change is adapt yourself to adapt yourself to the other, and the most beautiful thing is accept. Love is acceptance. Accept your husband. We are talking about normal things, right? Accept your husband, accept your wife as they are. This is, I think, the key to happiness.
Okay, so we are already a little bit late, 9 and 10. We have a last question, with your permission. I think this question is kind of unfair to treat it in few minutes, the same as the whole class of today. I hope it doesn't create frustration, because we're touching such important subjects, and we cannot give absolute solutions and advice. Let's see if when we wrap, if we can add a little bit more to this. So the last question, that is a very important and heavy one, says like this: obviously, it is perfectly normal after years of marriage for people to change, get sloppier, get lazier, change behaviors, attitudes, looks, etc. But if it gets to an extreme point where one falls out of love with their spouse and there is no hope for either to change, should one just live with it and be miserable? Or is divorce ever acceptable for a reason like this? As you can see, it's a very heavy question.
Very loaded.
Very loaded. And I would say that this question is presented on some assumptions. The first assumption that it brings here is it's normal that people get lazier, sloppier, change behaviors, attitudes, looks, etc. It's true, but I would add that I hope that with time, all of us also upgrade in certain things. We are not only getting lazier, we also learn to be more responsible. We are not only getting sloppier, perhaps we get smarter, perhaps we are in a better economic situation, perhaps also something else. Every quality, I like to say this always, every quality has two sides. Like to be extremely organized and helpful in the home work, it's amazing, but at the same time, you are perhaps a little bit too OCD or too controlling. One of the questions that I apologize, we're not going to be able to take care of it today, there is so many other areas, is what to do when we don't find the right amount of cooperation. Usually women complaining about their husbands at home. He doesn't help me enough, he doesn't. So I would say it has, even that is not 100% negative, because that husband that doesn't help so much is not also so much on top of things. Why this looks like this, why this looks like that. But that's a subject for another time. Again, another assumption that I find in the question is there is no hope for either to change. So I suppose that the person that is writing this question already went to therapy, they went to seminars, they went to work, they did everything in their hands to change. Why such a pessimistic view that there is no hope for either to change? That's true that certain things are not going to change, but some things could change. So should one just live with it and be miserable? I don't believe that anybody needs to live miserable. And I'm going to repeat again what I think. I think that many of the attitudes that we have in life have to do more with us than with the other person with whom we live. Having a happy marriage, it's hard work. It's a lot of hard work. So the question is, do we give up in front of challenges, or do we work and do we try to make it to work? Okay, I want to say an idea. What is the attitude with which we go to marriage? I was listening to Jordan Peterson, and he was saying, when a person gets married, it's kind of making a vow. I am coming into this relation and I'm going to stick to it. I'm going to stay to it. A kind of commitment that whenever both husband and wife have that commitment to each other, first of all, it gives you permission to make mistakes, because I can make mistakes. I know that the person with whom I am is going to understand that I am imperfect, he is imperfect, and we are going to try to work these differences together. So there is room for making mistakes. There is room for, as long as we both commit to work in this relationship and we don't just give up. We live in times where, again, Western values have been influencing us so much that whenever something doesn't work, so we discard it and we take a new one. And I know I'm talking very much in the air. I know that whoever makes this question, the question is serious and it's coming from a place of pain, from a place of unhappiness. I know, I can feel it in the words. And I am very sorry to see this, but is divorce ever acceptable for a reason like this? I don't know if I'm taking your words, because you always say this. You say that for us, divorce is like amputating a leg, a limb. Like if a person is having a limb that is getting infected and it's suffering a lot, before he amputates it, he's going to go to any doctor in the world. He's going to go to any specialist. He's going to do any treatment. He's going to try everything. So I don't know, in cases that I've been dealing with the situations that are really, really at the edge, we always try to tell them, have you tried everything? Have you worked in every way? Sometimes unhappiness comes also from my own personal meaning in life. My happiness shouldn't be depending only on how my husband treats me. It's very important. But how about if I engage in a job that is very fulfilling? If I grow spiritually? If I try to get at least to this level of respect? And I'm going to let you speak about children, about the effects of it. What I know from experience and from people that we've seen, unfortunately, is not that divorce is going to present with happiness. People that get divorced most of the times are not happier. They become poorer. They have more expenses. They have so many challenges. The children suffer so much. And again, that's for a whole entire class. But I would say 3 things to summarize. Marriage is a lot of hard work. Happiness doesn't come from the butterflies that we felt at the beginning. Marriage means I know that he, she are imperfect. And I am willing to live with that. And I'm going to focus myself, okay, I don't like that he is like this and like this and like this, but I can find 2 or 3 good qualities. I will try to focus on that and find complement my happiness with other things that I do that usually have to do with my inner self, with finding meaning in life. And to finish, if you permit me,
Of course.
we forget that when we get married, הרי את מקודשת לי כדת משה וישראל, we call it kiddushim, from kedusha, from holiness. The ceremony of marriage is not just two people that decide, let's get married, and then they go to their home. It's in front of societies, in front of witnesses of the community, and in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem, is part of my happiness. He cares about my happiness. He cares so much that in the case of Sotah, we saw last week, Parashat, that Hashem doesn't mind his name to being erased because he cares about this marriage. He cares that we are going to protect this institute that is what, as I said at the beginning, what makes from the whole society.
All right. So I think that number one, when we talk about self-improvement, we have the privilege of having the Torah. So I think that studying Torah it's the best way to get self-improvement, because the Torah teaches you, for example, Musar. The Torah teaches you how to have self-discipline, how to be more minimalistic in your material expectations in life. It teaches you the terrible consequences of chaos, and it teaches you how to control your anger management. It teaches you how to speak in a good way, not to speak lashon hara, not to gossip, etc. So not to judge with the benefit of the doubt. So these are things that are exactly the formula we need for a good marriage. It's all within our reach. It's in our Torah. We just need to go and learn it. So that's number one. Number two, sometimes a couple needs advice. They need to seek help. Now, this is, you need to go to somebody you trust, or a therapist, or a rabbi. Do not consult necessarily with your friends. Do not air your dirty laundry with your friends, because sometimes your friends might not know or might not have your best interest in mind, okay? So do not air your marriage problems in Instagram, expecting that everybody in the world will give you the best advice, because you don't know where this advice is coming from. What is the situation of the other couple? Maybe the person is giving you advice has a miserable life, and just, she doesn't care about you, or he doesn't care about you. So seek professional, beneficial
and the
help.
best.
And the best help, yes. Look for it, as my wife said, is like amputation. You go to the best possible doctor. You don't go to somebody that doesn't know. And finally, I want to say that I do appreciate a lot the Mashadi model, the old Mashadi model, that divorce is not an option. I would say, yeah, okay, we say amputation. Yes, it is an option in very, very extreme case, and only when you have done with you all what you needed to do, especially improving all your midot, okay? And I think this is one of the things that we as a community need to cherish and need to keep the holiness of marriage, in the sense that we don't dissolve marriage like they do in America, like 50% of the time. And remember this. I'm going to give you a definition of love, all right? Love is a decision. Love, in the context of marriage, love is a decision. Love is the decision to make my marriage work. I love my husband, or I want to be loving. I have to see that this is my challenge, and this is my way to demonstrate and to feel love. Okay. Yes, and you know, I need to make sacrifices. I need to learn. I need to improve. Focus on you. Focus. I need to focus on myself in order for a marriage to work. Not on my, not only on my spouse, but especially myself. And trying to inspire my spouse in the way. I rest my case because it's already late, right?
Yes, it's very late, and I want to thank you all for being here with us. And may Hashem bless us all. And our homes will be a place of peace where I was speaking with somebody the other day. It's like the Ark of Noach, the Tevat of Noach, that we have so many troubles and so many challenges outside. May we find inside our homes the peace that we so need to be happy. Thank you so much and have a great night and Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom to all. And
Shabbat Shalom, Mora.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you.
Thank you so
Shabbat Shalom,
much.
Mora. The best to you.
Yes.
Thank
Mucho.
you.
Bye.
Can I say something, Mucho?
Thank you, Rabbi.
Very welcome.
Bye-bye.
God bless you.
Thank you so much. It was amazing as usual.
Thank you.